Hello, it's me again. This is part of what obedience looks like. Moving when God says move. God dropped something down in my spirit that I needed to deliver to you all. And that is to clarify the why now in regards to how I speak about God on these platforms. Not because I owe anyone an explanation, not because I have to prove a point, not because I have to sway anyone into believing anything, because I'm allowing God to use me in whatever way He chooses to use me. But let's get into it, because this wasn't a overnight process. I literally had to go through processes. I literally had to go through certain seasons in order for God to deem me ready to be a vessel and get on these platforms and to speak with you guys about God. It's always been in me, but it was through the processes that God is allowing it to come out of me and to be used for His glory and to be used to win souls. So let's get into it. I want to share with you all what my process has looked like, because this is tied to my journey with God. This is a testimony of how God is using me now at His appointed time to be a vessel in His fullness. The last 4 years, I've looked death in the face. Let's be clear. That's not for sympathy by any means. I just want to share with you God's power in this process. And I can't leave anything out about this process. I've faced loss after loss after loss. I've had to surrender things, people, my way of thinking, the lifestyle I was accustomed to living, my mindset, what people did to me, though it wasn't right. I had to surrender it to God. And not only surrender those things to God, but me fully surrender to God in all aspects of life. I had to put away my old ways. I had to walk away from situations and people that I thought that I would never have to walk away from, that I would never think that God would tell me to release. I had to watch people walk away or not be available in some of my darkest times and be okay with that, because God was consecrating me. He wanted me to trust him. So I'm not mad at those people by any means, because I understand now why it had to happen. Not to me, but for me. I had to forgive people who I thought caused some of the most negative, toxic impact in my life that changed me at one point for the worse. I had to be abstinent. Though I desired to be in relationship, but those things were a part of my process. Facing eviction, God telling me to walk away from my business, God telling me to move back to my hometown, me returning to my hometown and having to adjust to things that I hadn't had to adjust to previously. Me having to lock in with God and really allow him to heal me. Even though it didn't feel good, me having to come to terms with a lot of things that I just kept moving on in regards to. Me having to face those things. Me having to acknowledge that those things were not okay, but they did not define me. Yes, they were a part of the process. But they don't define me. They don't determine my value. They don't deem me unworthy of God's love, unworthy of love in general. They don't deem me not to be enough to be a vessel for God and get on these platforms and talk with you guys. That is what my process has looked like. And I give gratitude that God chose me to go through those processes, to be a vessel for Him. And I'll choose Him every day. Because He could have easily allowed the enemy to set out, or I should say accomplish what he set out to do. And that was to take me up out of this world before I could fulfill my purpose, before I could come into fully who God has called and purposed me to be. So don't frown upon the process, because the process is a part of the journey with God. That's it. Until next time, I'll see you all later.